A very good morning to all of you. Today we are going to do report writing. Just let me. So, report writing. The way proposal writing that we had seen in our lectures is written for future references. Even report writing is also there, or reports are written for future references. Now, reports are usually written after any event takes place, and reports are written for a purpose of betterment that we'll see in detail. So, what is a report? A report is actually a description of an event. It is a description of an event. It is very much similar to technical description. Remember, when we have written technical description, or when we had studied about technical description, it mentioned that technical description is actually a description of a product or a process. Here, remember, report is an description of an event. It is not only a description but also an analysis of it. Technical description would simply describe the event, or it would describe the process or the product. Whereas when you write a report, it is actually a description of an event, not only a description but also an analysis of that specific event. It is formal in nature and is written for a specific purpose and a specific audience. Now, let me give you introduction for unit number 2. Why an introduction? A common introduction for any topic in unit number 2, you can include this 5 points. Right? You can include 5 points in technical writing description if you are asked to write an introductory paragraph, let's say for a letter writing or proposal or reports, anything. So, first, any written document which is technical is always formal in nature. Remember, every time we did any kind of technical writing, whether it is a letter or a report or a proposal or description, we have mentioned there that it is formal in nature. The second point that you can notice, it is written in terms of being professional. Let's say you are writing, you have a business, your friend has a business, and you want to buy some products from your friend's uh, industry organization. Do you just give a call on the phone that, send 500 computers to my company, I'll pay you for it? No. Even though you know the person, you have good terms with the person, but business sense demands professionalism. So any kind of written work in terms of being technical is also professional. Moreover, any kind of technical writing is meant for a specific purpose. You have to define the why. Why am I writing this letter? Why am I replying to this letter? Why am I writing the proposal? Why do why do we as a company need to write the description of the product? The why part. So that's why every written document which is related to technicalities or which is related to business has a specific purpose. Next, it is written keeping in mind a specific audience. So when you write an inquiry letter, you don't write it to every furniture store in the entire world. You write it to a few of the furniture stores. That's your selected audience, your specific audience. Even when you write your proposal, you do not write it for everyone. You write it for a few selected people. So that becomes, or that says that your audience is specific. Right? Why am I repeating this? We are also looking into things from the exam point of view. So when in the exams, they ask us to write the theory portion. This 5 points, or this 5 sentences can work as common introduction to any of the technical writing, be it any. Now, I'm just trying to help you to make your answers better. Right? So, what do? I'll this 5 points which I have mentioned. That is that any kind of technical writing is formal in nature. It is professional in nature. It is meant for a specific purpose. It is meant for a specific audience, and the vocabulary and the usage of language is also specific, pertaining to the kind of writing that you are doing. If it is a letter, you have a special bunch of words. If you have a report, there's other special bunch of words that you use. Moreover, each of this kind of writing has its own structure. There is a fixed structure. Right? We have seen the structure of a letter, formal letter. We have seen the structure of a technical description. We've seen the structure of a proposal. Now we're going to see the structure of a report. Right? So these are a few points that you can always mention in any of the technical writing part. Any topic from this unit, you can give this 5 things. If you see, they are common in every topic that we have. Right? Why this kind of a discussion? So that you can also keep in mind and you can keep noting as well. Right? As you know, we are supposed to have a book for the subject. You can keep noting whenever you have a time, or along with the lectures when we are talking, you can keep or have a note of things, so that when preparing for examination, you can go back to it. Right? Why point by point I am telling? The reason is, in case if the exam is in MCQ form, this small notes or the small information which is given to you could be helpful when you revise for your exam, whether it's a full written exam, whether it's 50% of MCQ and 50% of written exams. These things will help you out there. Right? So 5 points which can be commonly found in any written document. If it is a technical document or a business related document: 1, it is formal in nature; 2, it is highly professional in nature; 3, it is written for a specific purpose; 4, it is written for a specific audience; and 5, it has a specific structure. Now within the structure, you can say the order that follows, the kind of language that you use, the vocabulary which is used, certain sentences, certain phrases which are common, etc. Right? This you can mention there. I hope you are taking note of it. Now if you let's come back to what is a report. So a report would always have discussion of the topic quite in depth as compared to the other technical written documents. Moreover, it would also have a conclusion and recommendation. Recommendation. Now, see, when we are talking about this kind of technical and business related documents, whether it is mentioned or not, whether it is mentioned or not, we are supposed to understand recommendations, suggestions, feedback, whatever is to be given is to be given in a constructive manner and not a destructive manner. You have to give feedback, suggestions, and recommendations in constructive manner. Why? Anybody who opens up a business intends to run the business for a longer duration of time. So I want to open a business today. I don't want my business to close after 1 year. I want to expand it. Right? People who wish to expand the business and are genuinely interested in expanding the business would always seek advice for betterment. They would look for better opportunities, better ways of doing the same thing, improvisation. Let's take a simple example of a river. A river would flow on, and that is why life flourishes in a river, because it's ever moving. It's not stagnant. Now if you see a puddle after the rain falls and there is a puddle, it never breeds life except mosquitoes. Things which become stagnant or stand still would never be able to generate something new. Even if they generate something new, they would generate something which is destructive in nature, not constructive. When you see things flowing, updation happening, at that time new things come into existence. Had somebody not experimented on the tires that we have today, initially, let's talk about 10, 12 years back, you used to have bicycle tires with tubes. You had to have your tube uh, repaired when there was a puncture. Now things have advanced. We have come to a level where tires do not require tubes. They are tubeless tires. Why? Weren't the tube tires good? But this is kind of an advancement, a kind of an improvement, a kind of a betterment, right? So please remember, this is also a point that you can note, that whenever it is a kind of a technical writing or a business writing, the intention when somebody asks for a feedback is to get a constructive feedback for betterment, whether it's a report, a letter, or technical description or proposal, whatever it is. Right? What are the objectives? As I said, we should always know the why part. Why am I writing the report? Then and then exactly I would know what to use, what kind of words to use. Right? We'll take the example of letters that we are practicing right now. Right? Uh, why are we writing the letter? So right now the letter that we are writing is termed as the inquiry letter. One of you would be writing the inquiry, the other one is writing a reply. Now if you see the set of words that one person uses when he is drafting an inquiry is little different from the set of words which the other person who is drafting a reply is writing, right? That you can practically see. So what is the objective of a report? So to present a record of the accomplished work, which is also termed as a project report, right? In the final year of engineering, you have to do a project and you have to submit a project report as a part of submission so that you can get your degree of engineering. I think even in third semesters or in second semester as well, you might have been giving a project report. A small project would be given to you. The teacher would have asked you to write the project report and submit. So what is that report? It is actually a record of what you have achieved in your project. Do you write that I did not do this, she did not do that in the project report? No. What do you write? We did this. Step 1, step 2, step 3, whatever the structure was given to you, you have written a project report over that. Second, one of the objectives that we can have of report writing is recording an experiment, right? When people are researching, let's say right now the topic that's quite in the headlines is the vaccine or the medicine for this virus corona that's causing the pandemic, and a group of researchers from Oxford are trying to experiment on it. So what will they do? They will make a record, they will write a report. This is what we used, these are the outcomes, these are the effects it is having, these are the side effects. Why do they write it? So that the next batch of people who will do the experiment can know, okay, this method has already been used, let's try the next method, something like that. Even if it is the same batch of people, they can always go back and refer to the report and see, okay, this we have worked out, now next, right? Now you can also draft a report to record the research findings or some technical specification. Here in case of a new product, let's say I want to launch a new kind of a laptop, so I have to draft a report on what is different in the laptop that I wish to launch from the existing laptops in the market. Now, as I said, when you establish your business, you always have a long term plan in mind. So you have to have a report about different schedules, timetables, and milestones, right? See, you cannot become a successful business person overnight. Tiny steps, small milestones that you achieve, right? So, do you think you achieved a milestone and then you report it? No. You see what others have been doing, you write a report on it that, okay, will be on schedule. First 6 months will be marketing, 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 or maybe a mixture, amalgamation of marketing and sales. Okay, what did we do in the first 6 months? Let's look at it in the report, right? That's what happens on a long term. I'm giving an example of business, but everybody has a long term goal. Right now, some of you might have had your goal. You might have had in mind that, okay, semester 1 and 2, this is my marks, I have to maintain my score. Or right now, a long term goal for everybody is to clear engineering and get a degree within the next 2 years. Right? This is the second year, so 2 more years. Suddenly, if something comes in between you and your long term plan is something different. But everybody would have a milestone in mind, right? So to 2022, I want to graduate with the degree. And that is maybe my long term goal. 2 years, right? That's a long term thing. Then you can also document the current status. It is also known as an inspection report. Remember, in schools, there used to be inspections. Even in colleges, the teacher used to have an inspection. Submit your laboratory file to me. The experiment book by Saturday. That's an experiment. Sorry, that's an inspection. Trying to check whether you are updated or not, are you lagging behind, etc. At times, reports are written to clarify complex information with reference to future. Right? Let's say when you are having a company, you just don't established, or you don't just make a company which is constructed, the four walls and things like that. What do? You have policies as well. Okay. Initially, we will have this many members. Each member, this is the role. This is the salary we can play. Will we give a salary hike after 6 months or an year? If we give the salary hike, right? What is the percentage in which we will give the salary rise? How many times will we give the salary rise in the year? Will we give them incentives? Right? So when you establish your company, you also have some policies. So this would be the reports for those. You also make a report to inform a larger group of people about things. Let's take the example of a bank. If you take any bank, I'm giving this example so because it's easier to recollect. You know, in your at your home, you might be receiving these booklets from different banks annually. That's known as an annual report. Now, if you have never seen it, you can have a look at it. If you have something that's there at the home from last year, this year, I don't know whether we'll receive. Right now, we'll not receive because the financial year ends in March, right? So they'll show you how many new if there are new branches opening, or if there are new facilities that the bank has given, what revenue the bank has generated, etc. Right? That annual report you will not only find in a bank, but you will find in every organization. Next is to present organized information on a particular topic. Now, when does this happen? This happens when you have a larger number of divisions, a larger number of departments in your organization. Let's take an academic organization in this case. Right? Let's take Marwadi University as an example. Right? So Marwadi University, it is a university. So there are many courses that are run. For each course, there is a department that is run. Right? How will see if you are not writing a report? How will you see that you have gradually improved or gradually not improved? So what will happen is you have to submit something. Right? Let's say if you see, we'll have a result analysis every time the result is declared. At semester 8, what is the percentage of people getting A or A plus grade? That's just an example I'm citing. Right? So how many people below average? Now where do we need to improve? Which subject needs more concentration, etc.? And what are the strategies that we can do? This time the paper was hard. How do we prepare students for hard paper? So when there are many divisions or many departments in an organization, such kind of reports are written, right? So that we can keep an eye on how each department is functioning and how each department is trying to improvise. Moreover, when there are certain problems, we have an entire report of recommendations. How do you improvise or how do you solve a certain problem? Right. So our first reconnector or a reconnecting question is the statement true or false? Reports are informal in nature. Yep, all of you are absolutely correct. The statement is false. In the very beginning, we have mentioned that all written documents are formal in nature and reports are also a part of technical writing. So reports are also formal in nature, they cannot be informal. What are the characteristics of a good report? One, the report should be reader friendly. Why it should be reader friendly? What if the reader does not understand? I'll give you a very simple example over here. You take up any entertainer. By an entertainer, I mean the person could be a dancer, the person could be an actor, a singer, a performer, a comedian, etc. Whosoever it is. Take any, imagine any entertainer, the best in his field, the best comedian, the best actor or actress, the best singer, the best director, the best performer, the best dancer, anyone. What if he or she has to make a performance in an auditorium and there is nobody to either see or hear the performance? Even though the performer or the entertainer is one of the best in the fields, if there is nobody to see it, whatever performance he or she does is a wastage of time, energy, and resources. Similarly, if your report is the best in the world, but the readers cannot understand it, it is again a waste of time, energy, and resources. Why? The report is never meant for the writer. It is always meant for the reader or the viewer. In case you are looking at the presentation of the report or you are reading a word file of the report. Remember the process of communication. If we remove the receiver, what will happen? If we remove the receiver in the process of communication, the process can never come to a complete. Similarly, when you have readers, because the report is written for the reader to understand, the writer only see when you are writing the report, you are already understanding the problem. It's to the reader whom you should be passing on the information. Right? I was asked to write a report, and I write it in such a way that the head of the department cannot understand what is she trying to say, what exactly is she trying to say. Then my report writing is a failure. Let me give you another example which we all can relate to. Every one of us uses Microsoft PowerPoint. Why do we use PowerPoint? To make presentations. Is PowerPoint the only option? Is PowerPoint the only option for making a presentation? No. You may find 50 different ways of doing the same presentation with the help of similar kind of applications or similar kind of softwares. But why do we use PowerPoint? It is user friendly. Compared to other ways, other softwares, and other applications of presentation, PowerPoint is more user friendly. So it serves the purpose. More people using it, more people presenting it. Similarly, your report should be reader friendly. Now, what do we keep in mind if we wish that the report is reader friendly? These questions which I have given over here are actually guidelines or trails. You don't have to answer the question every time. But overall, when you write it, these are the things that you need to keep in mind. Number one, who is going to read the report? Let's say, I'll give you a very simple example. All of us might have got a blood report sometime in our life. You might have fallen sick, or for some reason you had got your blood report. Do you understand whatever is written in the report? Do we understand every line that is written? You just try to figure out from the figures that are given, and there's an explanation given after the figure. Let's say somebody in your family might have gone for a blood sugar report. So level of sugar in the blood. If it is high, you're diabetic. Right? So how do we conclude? Can we read that it is diabetes? Have they written it is diabetes? Patient has diabetes. No. They've given us a level. Before counting, it should be this much. After food, it should not exceed this much. And this much is normal, this much is not good. They never write that you have diabetes, do they? So if you have not seen reports in such details, you may go back. You might have some reports from your parents or grandparents lying in your house right now. So you can always go back and refer. They've never written the word diabetes anywhere in the report. They just write high levels of sugar, or till this much it is good, not good, something like that. They've given a range, the upper limit and the lower limit. Why? You're not supposed to read that report. Though we read it, we are excited about knowing a little medicine. Though we have never studied it, but we see very bad, such high sugar level. Okay, we start giving our advice. Now suddenly we become a doctor. We can read the report, but it is not meant. Remember that blood report is meant for the doctor to be read. Now, keeping the doctor in mind, if you see every word that is used is a jargon of medicine. By medicine, I mean different kinds of report. That's why I'm using the word medicine. That's the medical field. Do you ever see that because you're at the end of the report, if you see there's a small paragraph written, small paragraph means 3-4 lines, not more, or 3-4 sentences to be more specific. Do they write that we have found that the sugar levels are exceeding the minimum one, and that is why the report states that you are diabetic type A, type B, whatever it is? No, it has some description. If you see certain words we cannot even pronounce, certain words we cannot even read fully, we will skip the part. But we all have done it, not just you and me. Everybody does it. You are excited to see what report mein kya aaya, what has come in the report. You are excited. What is it? But do you understand each and every word of it? No. Why? Because it is not meant for you. The purpose of that report is to help your doctor diagnose your disease. So that is why if you see there are jargons, technical words related to medical field mentioned over there. And the doctor can only properly read it. Though we can make predictions, okay, we are good at making predictions. But it is a doctor who will read it properly, and that is why that kind of language is used in that report. And that's why who is going to read the report has to be kept in mind. Now, I cannot write in a report which is to be given to a doctor to be read, where it says, I think that the glucose level or the sugar level is high, maybe the body is not producing insulin. That the doctor knows, he has studied, that's his field of expertise, right? So who is going to read the report should be in your mind. That's how you pick your words. Next, what do they need to know? See, I'm going back to this doctors and reports. You can notice that I'm using examples. I'm using those examples because you have experienced it in one or the other way. Either you have gone and visited the doctor for yourself or some family member, or you have heard talks about certain distant family member going to the doctor, and you know so you have either a first hand or a second hand experience of visiting a doctor. That's why the examples are taken from there, right? I don't mind even taking examples from engineering, so don't worry, I'll be coming to that as well. So what do they need to know? So let's take a simple example. Even if you take a blood report, every blood report does not have everything. Let's say you have fever. Yeah, so sometimes you have to go for this platelet counting reports. There they do not mention whether you have blood sugar or not. Right? Are the platelets increasing? Are the platelets decreasing? What is the hemoglobin level, etc. Right? So what do you need to know for everything? Remember, see, this report which we do for blood in the case of a doctor's visit to a doctor is also a technical report. Okay, it's technical. They're trying to diagnose what is wrong with you. It is specific, right? They don't want to research over your whole body. They know that okay, there is something related to blood. Now within the blood, what is it? They don't have to. If it is a 22-year-old, the first report that they prescribe should not be a diabetic report or the report of blood sugar level. Right? They know that it's quite specific. Right? So what do you need to know? You have to be clear about it. Next, why do they need to know these details? The why part. Then what level of details do they want to know? You cannot write detailed descriptions. Let's take an example from engineering over here, right? Let's say you have developed a very good software, you have developed something very extraordinary. So do you write which codes that you use to derive the software? Yes, you do it when it is your project. You have to tell them this is step 1, step 2, step 3. When you are launching the product, the same software, when you are launching in the market, do you write the codes? No, we don't. Why? The person who's going to use the software, had he known the codes, would not he have developed the software for himself? Why invest in your software? See, the same product, the same software, if you are writing it as a part of your project, you might have to write the codes to which you use to develop it. But the same software, when you launch it in the market, you don't give the codes. Why? That's not necessary for the audience who wants to purchase, or to the people who want to purchase your software. That's not required. What is required for them? What can your software do? So there, the same thing, but because the level of details which are required are different, there would be a little difference in the report. Moreover, you do not market your product before it is made. So when do they need to know? We are still working on it, right? You don't tell people we are working on a product, it's going to be extraordinary. When do they tell them? When the product is ready. When you are in a When do you market your product? When you are about to release it. You can take examples of films also over here. Do they tell you, we are thinking of making a film, we might take actress A, B, C, or pair actress A, B, C with actor D, E, F, or maybe F, E, D? We don't know. When do we come to know? When there is a little work has been done, you have a teaser, then they release some songs, they gather a little audience, then they release the trailer. Do they directly release the movie? No. So when do the audience need to know about the thing? Right? That's how you make it reader friendly. Then defining the purpose. As I said, why are we writing it? Because this why part will affect the writing part. Right? Let's say I'm writing a report to inform. Let's see, I have done a product review. What do I mean by product review? When I done a product review, I'm actually talking about a product. So I'll be talking about how things work, how the product is working. How do I mean to make life more comfortable with this product that I'm giving? Right? That the information part. Now the same product I want to sell. Will I write the information only? No. I'll include something or some lines that would convince the person to invest in my product. Right? So the purpose depends. The entire report or the main body portion of a report would depend on the purpose. How you want your report to look would depend highly on the purpose of it. Right? Reliability and relevance. The details that you mention in your report should be reliable, trustworthy, and should be relevant to today's scenario or the contemporary scenario. When I say contemporary, whensoever certain research was made in those days, was it required? Did it make a change? Is what you have to take care. Accuracy is a must when you write a report, because at times many important decisions would rely on your report. And if the facts and figures that you mention in your report are misleading, it would create grave danger. It would create grave danger. So, the information that is there in the report should be reliable and relevant. It should have factual details. Misleading details could lead to a grave problem or grave danger in the future, because many important decisions, actions that are taken would be based on the report that the person is studying. If you see any of the technical writing, they want it to be short and simple. So there is a small technique called KISS, that is keep it short, keep it simple, or keep it short and simple. So it's not going to be like the answers that we wrote for or the answers that we write in our exam. It should be more refinement. That is why don't we know what is a report? Why are we having it in the syllabus? Or why do we have something called technical report? Head Does it have to be there? Don't we understand? But it is there so that we can understand what we have been writing was good, but we make it better with such technical writing. We become more refined, right? Let's give an example of a diamond mine. When you are digging for diamonds, you found a piece of diamond. Okay, you found a piece of diamond. If you sell that diamond as it is, don't wash it with some mud and some uh, roots and some dirt on it, it will be valuable still. Do not worry, the value does not mean that the value would become very less. It will be valuable still. But do we sell diamonds like that? You dig it out of the mine or the land and you sell it to somebody? No. What do? We cut it, we give it a shape, we polish it. That's called refining. You refine it. And when you refine something, its value would always increase by multiple folds. You're good at writing, but if you refine your writing, you will make the difference in the marks. Right? So, a report should not be very lengthy. Yes, there are reports that are lengthy. Lengthy in the sense, if it is an annual report, it cannot be of 5 pages. It's talking about the whole year, so a minimum of 12 pages, 1 page per month, if you want to be small. But in our case, when we are writing for the examination, it should be not more than 2.5 pages. 2.5 is the upper limit, the maximum that you can write. Right? You should not use decorative language. By decorative language, we don't mean that drawing flowers and all. Decorative language means the color of the product is as bright as the sun and it smells like the beautiful roses, red roses in your garden. That's not what you use. You can say it is shiny, armorous, and fragrant. The same thing. But the first example that was cited is usage of decorative language. The second example is a little more refinement. Does not mean that the first example is wrong. It is correct, but it is not required over here. Pick and choose as per the nature of the report that you are writing. People do not appreciate unnecessary information, and thus long reports should be avoided. It should be factual, bulleted points if possible, headings and subheadings so that it is easier to locate information, and to the point talking. You should make appropriate use of adequate language. Again, you can keep in mind one of the C's from our letter writing, that is correctness. It should be correct. This also applies to every other type of technical writing, right? So correct, which means correct usage of language, correct usage of grammar, correct uses of words, and correctness in spelling. Moreover, you should avoid the usage of jargon if the report is meant for somebody who is not belonging to that particular field. By jargons, I mean a set of technical words. A set of technical words related to a particular branch is known as the jargon for that branch. Let me give you an example. I'll give an example from the literature. I'll try to give an example from your field as well. Now, there is something called catharsis. There's a word called catharsis. Not a catheter, okay? Catharsis. In literature, it's a technical jargon or a technical word which is used in literature, and students of language and literature, be it any language, be it any literature, would know. Why? Because it's one of the important terms, a very basic jargon that we have. If I use the word over here, you might be scratching your head. What is she talking about? What's exactly happening? We don't know. You all experience it. You all have gone through the process. You might have felt that happening. See, she's talking now. See, it's not making sense. We don't know the word. How do we feel it? How come we have experienced it? We don't find any connection, madam, whatever you are saying. Right? Why? Because you are not aware about the term. Now, if I give an explanation of it, we'll say, yes, yes, yes. This happened. This has happened with me. If you take up any instance of watching a little sad kind of a movie, take up any Hindi movie or English movie, one of your favorites, but little sad. Sad means the central character dies, something like that. Even if you have read a book, let's say right now, The Fault in Our Stars is one of the books and movies which is a little in discussion with the Hindi version, the official Hindi version coming. You might have felt sadness coming to you when you come to know that one of the central characters, which is Augustus Waters, right, is the protagonist or the central character. He dies suddenly. That was not expected. That's the unexpected thing which comes up, and you feel that pain. But then when you see his family and friends finding peace, you are also at peace. Good. No, he was suffering a lot. That feeling that comes when you feel sad, and when you move out of the feeling, that's called catharsis in literature. See, now you can relate because you know the meaning. Similarly, if you take an example, let's say a jargon like motherboard in a computer, to a person like me who's not much into computers, when I say I'm not much into computers, I don't open the computer and I don't study about the different parts. I use the computer, right? I just use it the way it should be. I don't go into the minute details. Where does the power come from? What would the computer look like if I open it up? You guys have an idea of it because you're studying it. It's your area of specialization, right? So let's say we'll not use the word keyboard. Even keyboard is a jargon related to computers, but it is a jargon which most of us are now using. Even in the mobile, you have a keypad, right? Similar to your keyboard on the laptop or the desktop. So that we are more familiar with. When I say use of jargon must be avoided, I mean to say that things which are not that popular, things which are not that understandable, should not be used. Right? So even if you are using the jargon, you have to have an explanation for it. It should be well organized and well structured. As I said, every document that is technical in nature has to be structured, has to have a proper sequencing, has to work well. There are two types of reports. Basically, one is a descriptive report, the one which we are looking forward to. The other is an analytical report. Descriptive report would just describe the event. This example you can see in the newspapers when some event takes place. Let's say there was Saurashtra Literature Festival that took place, and then there's a report in the newspaper. This many people attended, and this happened, and it was a 3-day affair event that took place, and it was inaugurated by the PM or the CM, and in the valedictory function, these people were present. That's description. Now, analysis happens when you have to take a decision. So let's say right now, if you see the current scenario, people are analyzing the situation and then they have to take decisions based on it. So these are the 4 different formats of a report writing. As I said, the first one, which is a manuscript format, you can have reports that can have hundreds of pages, but we are supposed to just concentrate on the memo format or the letter format. Memo is a word we know. The full form of memo is memorandum. Please remember this. This could be one of the MCQ type questions that you may be asked. Right? It's called a memorandum, the memo, the short form of the memo. Just give me a minute. Letter, just like the letter that we write, but the format or the structure remains the same. But what will change is the inside of the main body. And reprinted are or the reprinted structure is used when you constantly write over a period, that is quarterly reports, 6 monthly reports, or half yearly reports and annual reports, right? That happens in organizations. The ones which we are going to use would be the memo or the letter report. In the memo report, it is always written on the letterhead of the organization. No? That's where you write it. Dash, here please understand the report. Dash kind of a report. You have, it's written on the letterhead of an organization. Which kind of a report do you write on the letterhead of an organization? Excellent, Gaurav. The answer is correct. Memo. Excellent. See, if you see the format, in the memo format, it is written on the letterhead of the organization. That's why here the answer is memo. These are the two formats that we are going to follow. So when I say these two formats, why I'm mentioning the two formats? See, if it is, as I said in the question paper, we are also keeping examination in mind. That's our goal right now, right? We have to keep that objective also in mind. So sometimes, see this, if you learn the structure well in this technical writing portion of any of the technical type of writing, then you are going to score good marks. So practically it is little easier because the structure is given. Once you know the structure, you can write things. And they also give you marks for writing the correct structure. How do I make the questions hard? So I simply mentioned draft a report in memo format. What do I do then if I don't know it? See, other two formats are lengthy. These two formats are meant for the exam purpose, right? So how do I make it things, or how do I make the question a little difficult? By adding one of the formats. When there is nothing mentioned, just say that you draft a report on something that has happened, then you can use either. When there is something specific mentioned, you have to use the specific format. Let's just have a look. This is a sample of the letter format or a letter report. And here you have a sample of the memo report. Do not worry. In your shared folder, the Google folder where you have your lab batch B, you can now also see a new folder that I have shared. It's called the report writing. And within the report, two samples have already been shared with you. One sample of a letter format, a report written in a letter format, and one sample of a letter report written in a memo format. So what's the format? The title section, which includes the name of the person who writes it and the date of the report. Date writing is very important. The summary. Now, the summary needs to be of the major points like introductions, findings, conclusions, and recommendations. It is a kind of a general overview of it. Summary, it is advisable you write at the last of the report when you're practically writing in your workplace, right? Not in the exams. In the exam, you can go as it is, right? Because there might be points that you have to include in the last minute in the practical terms in the workplace situations. So, introduction, the first page of the report needs to have an introduction. This is where you will explain the problem, and you'll try to make the reader understand why the report is being written, right? Next, you have the main body of the report. It can be divided into different sections depending on the importance of the information that you can arrange it. Right? You'll have a better idea when you go to the sample. Conclusion, this is where everything comes to an close. In conclusions, please never introduce a new idea. We already know about it in our from our letters, the concluding paragraph, from the proposal, from the description, technical description. See, conclusion, conclude means it is coming to an end, so you cannot introduce a new idea in the end, right? This section should be free of jargons, totally free of jargons, as most of the times what people do in workplaces, they would read the summary and the conclusion. So this is the problem, so this is the solution. So the problems come in the summary part and the solutions come in the conclusion part. And next is actually what you want to do for the betterment. This is actually why we did the entire exercise of writing the report. Recommendations also you have to write, putting them in order of priority. So the first thing that we need to do is this, then this, then this. Appendices. Appendices include information about experts in the field to whom you have referred to. It also has technical information that you have avoided in your conclusion and that supports your conclusion. Remember, I told in the conclusion no jargons at all. So, where do I explain the technicality? That it happens in the appendices or the appendix. And that's where you happen to have all the technical information, and that's where you can use whatever support you wish to use for your conclusion. This is how I came to this conclusion. Yes, we have one more reconnecting question. The first page of the report needs to have an introduction. Is the statement true or false? Excellent, all of you. Quite speedy answers that are been given over here. You are absolutely correct. The statement is true. Right? We need to have an introduction. Introduction is the first part of any kind of technical writing that we do. So this was the question asked in winter 2019, in November 2019 when the exam took place. This is the question that was asked. I would ask you to write the question. I'm reading the question out, but you can note it somewhere because you are supposed to write a report on the same question. So a serious accident had taken place at a company plant few days ago. As manager of the plant, prepare a detailed report on it with a view to the causes, the damage done, and the precautions for future. So this is the question. It is a 7-mark question if you see. It has been asked in GTU last year. Remember, this syllabus has been introduced last year only, so we do not have other question papers, only one question paper of last year. And it's a new syllabus. So that's why we need more preparation and more practice. We don't have much question papers to refer back to. So please note down this question. I'm giving you a few minutes to note the question. Just let me know once that you have made a note of the question. Excellent. Almost everybody has noted it down. Now, what you need to do is right away, I'm giving you 25 minutes of time. If you go to the shade folder with lab batch B, you will see a folder with the title report writing. Within the folder, there is already a Word document which is called the sample of report. Please scroll the entire document. Why? Because first report has been written in one method, that is the letter method. And if you take the second report, it is written in the memo format. Please understand, you are not supposed to use both the formats. You are supposed to use any one. If you see uh, the letter format, it has the address and all, just like a letter, right? But the main body is different. How? The main body has subheadings like introduction, the process which you did to find out the problems that occurred, the reasons for the problems, and then certain recommendations for improvement, then a conclusion, and you sign it, just like you sign the letter, right? Next, if the example is in the memo format, it is little different. Yes, there are titles given similar to the letter, but you don't have the addressing part similar to the letter, right? So please first, before you start writing the answer to the question that I have given to you, last year's question, you go through the entire Word document which is already uploaded in report writing. You can have a look at it. Go through the entire document, decide any one format. Let's say one of you writes it in letter format, the other 3 4 write in memo format. That is absolutely fine. That depends on you. You are given a choice to write on any one of it. You are given 25 minutes time till 11:05 to complete the report writing, and submit it in the same folder with your name. You can draft it, you can type it out. Okay, fine. So I'm giving you 25 minutes time till 11:05 to draft your report after having a look at the sample already shared with you. So 25 minutes are given for writing the report. In case you have
That report, no.
yeah, in case you have a doubt, you can still ask.
Of that report, no, 2019's question paper.
Yes, you have to write a report on the question of paper of 2019. I have drafted a different report. You are just supposed to look at the structure, right?
Okay, ma'am.
And any one style you can use. Either you write a report in letter format or in memo format. You don't have to do it in both the formats, right? I would suggest you should use the memo format, because letters we are already writing. So you have a very good idea about how to write letters. You are already practicing, right? So that's a suggestion from my side, but not a compulsion. You may write it in the letter format or you may write it in the memo format. You have a choice for it. I have a sample for both the formats, the letter format as well as a memo format, in the same document. So please scroll till the end, right? So I'm giving you 25 further without taking time from your 25 minutes. You may start writing. In between, if you have problem, you can always ask by typing, or you can unmute yourself and ask me the questions. I can see most of you have started working on it. Do we need some more time? This is a yes and no question. Do we need some more time? I can see it's all already you have started formulating. Yeah, so we'll have 10 more minutes. That should be enough. It's a 10 more minutes. You have time till 11:15 to complete it. Excellent work. Most of you have written the report very well, which I can see in the shared folder. In case you have not completed it, you have time till 4:30 to complete it. Right, so, as a part of our every lab, you now need to attempt the quiz. I'm giving you 5 to 7 minutes for attempting the quiz.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes. Okay, I'll send the link.
Ma'am, can you?
Yeah, I read the
Yes.
message. I'll send the link again. Hope it's visible now. Fine, I can see everybody has completed the quiz and submitted it. Now, I just have a question. Enrollment number 47, have you enrolled for the Coursera course?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you have not written yes. I'll type it on your behalf so that when I send the report, it's a yes. Then enrollment number 67, have you enrolled or you are yet to enroll? Enrollment number 67, that's Bhautik. And enrollment number 96 from this batch. These are the two enrollment numbers where it's blank. I have not mentioned a yes and no. Have you registered for the Coursera course? 67 and 96. Raj, yes, Raj, have you registered for the course?
Yeah.
Yes or no? I am not getting your voice clearly.
Yes.
Yes, okay. I am typing a yes on your behalf. Okay, and then that makes Bhautik the only one who remains. Bhautik, you have. Okay, fine. Thank you. So, what I see in the people attending today, nobody is absent from the batch. In case you have still not worked on your technical description, your letters, inquiry letters, and the report, you may complete it by 4:30 today. Within a day or two, I'll be uploading one more kind of a letter, one more kind of a practice. Remember, the letter writing practice will go on because there are different kinds of letter. The way I have uploaded for inquiry letters, that is, you have the instructions, then a sheet for your guidelines where you can use words and how to arrange information, and then the question against everybody's name. Similarly, on order letter, I'll be posting within a day or two by Saturday latest, right? So this work will keep on going in the background till we go ahead with other questions with us. I hope you have worked about the book review. You might not have forgotten about it. You have started. In case you do not find a book, you may always change the book, make a change in the document so that I am acknowledged that you have changed your book and you are working on a book that you have found, right? So again, in case you have a query, you can always drop down a message or an email at appropriate time so that you get a reply soon, right? So on the background, still while we are still working on other topics, this letter writing will keep on going on in this way. One letter a week is what we are planning to do. So one letter we would be finishing as expected by today. By Saturday, you will get your next letter, order letter. So similar guidelines, just like the inquiry letter, you will have 3 sheets, and the third sheet will have question against everybody's name. Fine. So, thank you, class. Have yourself a very nice day. Thank you.